welcome to government class. In today's government class, we'll be looking at the Clifford Constitution of 1922. In 1922, the Clifford Constitution was set up by abolishing the Nigerian Council and the then Lagos Colony Legislative Council. The Clifford Constitution was introduced by Sir Clifford, who was then the governor, then the Governor General of Nigeria. The unique feature of Clifford's Constitution was the granting of the elective principle as approved by the new Secretary of State for Colonies, Winston Churchill. So, Clifford's Constitution was set up, and then the then Nigerian Council that was operating under Lord Lugard's that was operating when Lord Lugard was the Governor General of Nigeria was abolished, and the Lagos Colony Legislative Council was equally abolished. And we looked at some of the unique features of Clifford's Constitution. Was it granted elective principle to the people of Lagos and Calabar as approved by the new Secretary of State for Colonies, Winston Churchill. The next thing we'll be looking at are some of the features of the Clifford Constitution of 1922. What are some of the features? For the first time in the history of Nigeria, the Constitution introduced elective principle in which elections were conducted into the Legislative Council. So this was the Constitution that first introduced elective principle in Nigeria, where the elections were conducted to elect people into the Legislative Council. This was the first time in the history of Nigeria that the Constitution introduced elective principle that allowed people to elect their own representatives, their own people, into the Legislative Council. The head of state and the Governor General was Sir Clifford. So, as at the time of the setting up of Clifford's Constitution, the head of state and the Governor General was Sir Clifford. The Constitution established a new Legislative Council and Executive Council to replace the old one. So the Nigerian Council was abolished, the Lagos Colony Legislative Council was equally abolished. Yes, the Clifford Constitution established new legislative councils and new executive councils to replace the old ones. The Northern Nigeria was not represented in the new Legislative Council, in which the Governor General retained the power to legislate for the North. So the Northern Nigeria was not represented in the new Legislative Council, and the Governor General, which was Sir Clifford, he retained the power to legislate for the North, and the North was governed by proclamation. So Northern Nigeria were not represented in the Legislative Council. There was nobody from Northern Nigeria in the Legislative Council to represent the interest of the Northerners. So it was the Governor General of Clifford that retained the power to legislate for the North, and he governed the North by proclamation. Other features of the Clifford Constitution of 1922 are the Constitution gave birth to certain political activities and the emergence of political parties in Lagos and Calabar. So this was the Constitution that gave rise or gave birth to political activities and the emergence of political parties in Lagos and Calabar. So it was Clifford's Constitution that gave birth or gave rise to the emergence of political parties and certain political activities in Lagos and Calabar. Lagos and Calabar, because it was only Lagos and Calabar that was granted the elective principle in the whole of Nigeria. So it was only people that resided in Lagos and had an income of £100 or more that could elect or be elected into the Legislative Council. The Executive Council consisted of mainly Europeans, in which no Nigeria was elected into the council. So the then Executive Council, the Executive Council that was set up by Clifford's Constitution, consisted only of Europeans. There was no Nigeria in the Executive Council. So you can imagine Europeans making policies and implementing policies for Nigerians, and no Nigeria, the interest of Nigerians is not represented in the Executive Council. What an irony. The new Legislative Council was made up of 46 members, which comprised 27 British members, including the governor as an official member. So the new Legislative Council that was set up by Clifford's Constitution was made up of 46 members. 46 members, and out of these 46 members, 27 were British members, which also included the Governor General, who was Sir Clifford. And 19 members were unofficial members. So out of the 46 members, we have 27 official members, which also consisted of the Governor General, and we had 19 non-official members. 15 out of the non-official members were nominated by the governor. So I said earlier that there was 19 non-official members in the Legislative Council. So out of this 19 non-official members, 15 were nominated by the governor. 15 were nominated by the governor. Out of the 15 nominated by the governor, 10 were Nigerians. 10 were Nigerians. And out of the 10 Nigerians that were nominated by the governor, 4 members were elected, while the remaining 6 members were nominated by the governor. So out of the 15 official members, out of the 15 non-official members, 10 members were Nigerians. Out of those 10 Nigerians, 4 were elected and 6 were nominated by the governor to represent certain regions in Nigeria. Out of the 4 elected members, 3 members came from Lagos, while 1 member came from Calabar. So we've looked at the breakdown of the Nigerian Legislative Council that was introduced by Clifford's Constitution of 1922. 47 members were in the council. Out of the 47 members, 27 were official members, and the official members were all British. They were all British, and the Governor General was equally amongst the official members. We said 19 members were non-official. Out of the 19 non-official members, 15 out of the 19 non-official members, 10 were Nigerians. Out of the 10 that were Nigerians, 4 members were elected and the remaining 6 were nominated by the governor. The remaining 5 were Europeans. They were Europeans. So out of the 4 elected members, 3 came from Lagos and 1 member came from Calabar. Make sure you remember. The Clifford Constitution also stimulated the establishment of newspapers in Nigeria, such as the Lagos Daily News and the West African Pilot. So it was the coming of Clifford's Constitution that stimulated the establishment of newspapers in Nigeria. And we had newspapers such as the Lagos Daily News, which was established in 1925, and the West African Pilot, which was a newspaper company owned by Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. And with this, we've come to the end of this class. In the course of this class, we looked at a brief introduction to what to expect in the Clifford's Constitution of 1922, and we looked at some of the features of Clifford's Constitution of 1922. And I'll see you at the next class.